Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I posted some videos about Japan lately, and I can't believe that I had so many subjects to talk about regarding Japan. Japan did not seem a very active player in international affairs, but since this Russian-Ukrainian war started, Japan has been a busy bee, to say the least. And how did it start? First, Japan felt the need, or maybe felt the hand behind pushing it in line, and denounce a war that occurred half of globe away from them. Then they felt to insert themselves deeper in the issue that had nothing to do with them, and after condemning in this case, the Russian Federation, it imposed sanctions on the Russian Federation. Again, inserted itself in an issue that Japan was not part of, was not involved, but it got itself involved either by feeling morally superior with a badge, or being pushed by their neighbors across Pacific Ocean, the Zimbabweans. And then after that, after they started imposing sanctions on Russian Federation, the Russians slapped them back with some of their uh, sanctions as well. Then Japan again saw that it's important to, push it even further, and started calling the Kuril Islands, their northern territories, as Japan likes to refer to those uh, series of islands of Japan. They used to belong to Japan prior to the end of the Second World War, in the northeast of Hokkaido Island. Uh, um, then what do we have? Then after that, it referred to that to those territories as illegally occupied by by Russia. And we should also remember that Japan and Russia did not sign a armistice, or any declaration of peace after or treaty of peace after the Second World War, and they technically are still at war with one another. Then more than that, Japan made some claims that they will allow some the occupiers, which are there since the end of the Second World War, allow more troops and more military personnel and uh, facilities and material, or whatever we want to call it, um, on their island after that islands after they started pushing towards uh, Russia. Then they the Japanese, I think, Prime Minister went to India to try to to have India break away from its economic ties with Russia, and offered about 50 billion in future investments. Well, slash, I would call that a kind of like a bribery, bribe, and give you this and you do this for me. India did not cave in. Then now it seems like Japan is pushing even further, and this is the article of today. And let's go and see what are they doing, this busy bee Japan. This article comes from Reuters from April 28, 2022, and it says that Japan Prime Minister starts Southeast Asia visit with Ukraine, China in focus. I don't know why Ukraine. I would understand China, but why Ukraine? Oh, and then again, Japan pushed forward with, or forth with some another territory disputes with China and South Korea, and very belligerent, at least verbally, as of now, Japan. And we hear that in Jakarta, the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida kicked off his Southeast Asia tour on Friday, meeting his Indonesian counterpart to discuss regional responses to the Ukraine crisis. Regional responses to Ukraine crisis. You know where Ukraine is, you know where Indonesia is, you know where Japan is. You make the connection. Respond to Ukraine crisis, as well as counter China's growing assertiveness in the region. Okay. When China did this with Solomon Islands, everybody was, oh my God, it's a security problem here. We got Australia, we got United States, even I think New Zealand had problems with a deal between China and the most important strategic point in the world, Solomon Islands. But nevertheless, when they come in your neighborhood and put their little military installation around your country, you should be okay. No problem. No, that's fine. But when you do that to them, oh my God, they're all upset and they denounce and try to push and threats and blackmail their preferred way of uh, making business, doing business with people, negotiating. That's how they do it. It's not like, okay, let's discuss this. No. You take this price, you give me this. If not, I will do this, and I will go to your house. I will burn your house. I will burn your this. I will do this. I will do this. Well, it's not negotiation. That's simply threatening. It's coercion with physical or economic punishment. So how do you want to have a friend like that? I don't. So when you hear about these alliances, they're based on that, at least in the big club, in the only club that we have so far here. So as Asia's sole member of the Group of Seven, G7, Japan hopes to hold talks on China's invasion of Ukraine and consolidate responses in Southeastern Asia, where only one nation, Singapore, has joined sanctions against Russia. So what do you mean consolidate responses? Why? Why do you feel the need, Japan, little island with no how to call it, natural resources? Why do you think you have to go around and consolidate response to Ukraine and Russia, which are 4,000 miles away from you? Why is that? Who pushes you? Why do you do this? Unless you have a big problem with Russia, and I think you have, because of the Kuril Islands. Is that what it is? I think that even if Russia would say, okay, take the Kuril Islands, still they will not. Japan will have a problem with Russia. It's not the Kuril Islands. It's not. It's just that the Russia exists, and the neighbors from across the Pacific don't like that, and they use this useful, to do their job here, dirty job in the East Asia. So all I can say is this: to join sanctions. Why would they rile people up to join sanctions? You join sanctions. It's your country. Great, good for you. Or you go to the neighbors, and how are you going to do that? I'm going to invest in your country or something, or hey, daddy is going to be upset with you if you don't do it. I'm just a messenger here, the minion that's going to. So in a joint address to reporters, Kishida said Japan remained committed to calling for a cessation of hostilities and responding to the impact on the world economy. So they want, obviously, the war to end, but in what terms? That's the problem, Japan. They want what terms? Indonesian President Joko Widodo, or Jokowi, said he had stressed as this year's president of the Group of 20, G20, that the war in Ukraine must stop. He earlier has said that he invited the leaders of both Ukraine and Russia to the main G20 summit in November, despite pressure from some Western countries to exclude Russia. Regional security. After a three planning ceremony at the presidential palace on the outskirts of Jakarta, Kishida and Jokowi also discussed a range of issues, including China's presence in the region and Japanese investment in Indonesia. Yeah, I pay you, just don't like those guys. Please, you have to dislike those guys. Here is some cash, we're going to invest. And if China does the same thing, how is that going to be called? Just strengthening economic and political relations with those countries? Is that how we're going to verbalize it? No. And then I expressed my strong opposition to a unilateral change of the status quo by force in the East China Sea and the South China Sea. All right, that's the Japanese. They want they want the status quo. Okay, but what's the status quo over there? The status quo is only probably one thing that you're very upset with, which you're not. You shouldn't be upset. It's not your problem anyway, which is Taiwan. But then is what? China, you cannot stop China. You cannot contain China. Japan, you cannot contain China. Stop. And China has a lot of very bad memories with you, Japan. You can't just use a eraser and just erase the past. So if I were you, I would be a little bit more diplomatic and pay more attention and not to step on people's shoes when I do this kind of moves in the name of my boss over there. But who am I to say? Just analyze and say the way things I see them here. But translated into plain English and without all this little they go over there and they discuss it. No, Japan tries to do the dirty work of United States in East Asia with a problem that doesn't concern Japan, which is Ukraine and Russia. But they have a problem with everybody. Tell me who's friends with Japan in the area. Maybe you can tell me. North Korea, definitely it's not. South Korea has territorial disputes. Japan says that South Korea has an island that belonged to them, but now belongs to South Korea. It's called the Dodo, Dando, something like that. Has problems with Russia, with Kuril Islands. And who's next? Who's else? Who else is around Japan? Go down to what? To Indonesia, to Malaysia, to what? If you want to consider that friends or neighborhood. These are the closest neighbors of Japan. None of them is okay with Japan. I wonder why. Is that because of the Second World War and before? Of the expansionist movements they did and the atrocities committed during those times? Atrocities? Is that? So surely be a little bit more humble. Be like an equal at least. Don't look down on because you have a strong economy and you go and just dictate based on economy. Oh, if you do what I say, I'm going to invest in your country. What is that? Is that a way of treating people? Imagine someone comes, knocks at your door and say, if you want me, if you allow me to have sex with your wife or your daughter, I give you $5. And you say, oh, okay. Plain English, right here. Your neighbor knocks at your door. Really? Or no? Let's go. I give you $5. Let's go and beat the other neighbor. Well, get this example. Hey, I give you $5. Don't like the neighbor over there, and let's do something about it. Japan, you're better than this. You're better than this. I'm talking about the leaders because I know the population is great, but the leaders. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. Ciao.